Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Jeanette on this very chilly, almost winter morning. We're going to be doing a whole food plant-based basics video talking about sweet potatoes. I'm going to show you a couple ways that I like to prepare them. All right, let's talk about sweet potatoes. My dad and I published a cookbook. It's called Plant-Based for Anyone, and it is for anyone, regardless of how you eat. You don't have to be a 100% plant-based eater to get benefit from this. We're just trying to help people get more vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds into their diet. There's also a bunch of templates in here, blueprints, so that you can make your own foods based on the ingredients that you like build your own veggie burger, dressings, sauces, etc. And you can order this anywhere books are sold online, so Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Target, Walmart, all those places. But in here, I have a section on potatoes. In fact, I dedicated 2 pages to it because potatoes have been such an important part of my own personal diet. And at the end, I talk about sweet potatoes, which are not potatoes at all. They're actually root vegetables. So they are one of the starchy vegetables, and generally they tend to be creamy and sweet, although I'm going to show you one variety here that I don't think is especially sweet, and it's a little bit more starchy. And they generally have tough skin. Typically the skins are removed before chopping them up and steaming them or something, or the potato part is scooped out after roasting it. But I know some people do eat the skins on them. I just don't, personally, I just don't like them. And they're good for roasting, baking, mashing, steaming, and soups and stews. One of my favorite ways to cook sweet potatoes is to roast them or bake them. It really helps to bring out that natural sweetness. And in fact, that happens with a lot of vegetables. It will help to augment and really bring out that naturally sweet flavor. Even in things like broccoli, mushrooms, peppers, onions, totally transforms the flavor of them if you roast them. So that's one way that I do it. I will also sometimes just steam or boil them, and then I can mash them up, or I put them in soups and stews. All right, we're gonna go through the few types of sweet potatoes that I have here, and we're going to go in order from sweetest to least sweet. And keep in mind, I live here in upstate New York, so things might be a little different where you live. But the first one I have are white sweet potatoes. Now these are listed at my store as Jersey whites, or I think another term might be Hannah yams. They are, I think, the sweetest of the 3 that I have here. My favorite way to cook them is to roast them and then either mash them or cube them up and put them into a bowl, with some greens and some sauce. They're great for plant-based desserts. So you could use this in my sweet potato chocolate pudding, which is a recipe on my blog. But if, say you don't like the taste of banana in something, or you don't like banana, maybe you could try substituting a little of the white sweet potato for that just because of its sweetness, but they are good in plant-based desserts. The second type I have are the orange sweet potatoes. Where I live here, we also refer to them as yams. That's what they were listed as at the grocery store. And I think yams are technically something different. They have a different skin, they have a different inside, but we call them yams here. I'd say these are probably the easiest to find where I live, so they're the ones that I eat the most. But you can roast them, you can put them in soups and stews, you can mash them, and you can use these are the ones I usually use for my chocolate sweet potato pudding. Now, the last variety are the purple sweet potatoes, and I have 2 different brands to show you. If you can find these, I highly recommend them. They may be a little bit difficult to find depending on where you live. One of the stores here doesn't carry them all the time, but sometimes they carry the Stokes. And when they have Stokes, I will buy several of them. And then Wegmans carries sometimes organic purple sweet potatoes. And you see it's a pretty good sized bag. There's about 7, I'd say medium sized to large sweet potatoes in here. This was $7.99 for the bag, so it's not cheap. They are organic. If they have them, I do grab them. I think, first of all, purple sweet potatoes are gorgeous, okay? They have a jewel-like deep purple color that intensifies when you cook them. They're beautiful inside. I think the texture is what I would call a little bit more starchy than the other 2 sweet potatoes. White and orange have more of a creamy consistency. The purple ones, I'd call them a little bit more starchy. So if you think about, if you compare a russet potato to say a gold potato. A gold potato is typically, I would say, a little bit more creamy and almost buttery in its texture and its look, because it's a little bit golden in color. And if you look at a russet that's cooked, it gets very fluffy and kind of more floury almost. So it's a much different texture. Russet is more starchy. I'd say these purple potatoes are a little bit more starchy. If you roast them, they do take a little bit longer than the orange or the white sweet potatoes. But my favorite way to cook them is simply to peel them and boil them, and then I make mashed potatoes out of them. But if you have access to purple, I highly recommend them. They are currently, you know, being talked about quite a bit in the plant-based world because of their possible nutritional benefits. You know, with the deep purple color, we have those anthocyanins and all the other compounds that come with the beautiful color. If you can get your hands on them, I do recommend them. I like them. I think they're very good, especially if you don't like something that's a little bit more on the sweet side and you want something that might be a little bit more neutral in flavor. Still a little bit of sweetness to them, but not as much as the other two. One of my favorite ways to prepare purple sweet potatoes is really simple. I just peel them and then cut them into small pieces, place them into a saucepan, cover them with water, and boil them for about 20 minutes until they're nice and soft, and then I drain them and mash them up with a little bit of soy milk. To cook my orange and white sweet potatoes, I heat my oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and line a baking sheet with parchment paper. Then I rinse my potatoes under some water and then poke holes all over them because I want them to vent while they cook. And as they cook, they're going to release these syrupy sugars, and that's why I use the parchment paper, because it makes cleanup a lot easier. Then I just check for doneness by sticking a knife into each one. If it goes in easily, then they're done. And I cut them open, allow them to cool, and then I scoop out the potato from the peel. So there are lots of ways that you can enjoy sweet potatoes. You can cook them up and enjoy them as is, maybe dice them up, put them in a bowl with a nice sauce on top. They're great sweet or savory. You can add a little bit of plant-based milk and mash them. For breakfast, you could roast a sweet potato, slice up some banana, maybe some blueberries on there, a little cinnamon, little drizzle of maple syrup. For lunch or dinner, you could do a roasted sweet potato with black beans on top and all the toppings that you would normally put maybe in a taco, you know, some plant-based or cashew sour cream, some cilantro, salsa. It's great dressed up that way too. There's a recipe on my blog for chocolate pudding, which is made with sweet potatoes. And then in our cookbook, my dad has his recipe for his sweet potato hash, which is delicious. It's a savory dish. So you have lots of options when it comes to sweet potatoes. So I do encourage you to give them a try. Hope it gave you some ideas and some more information about the lovely sweet potato. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.